Hello everyone. In my last lecture, I have just teach you about the magnetic field, the geomagnetic field, and all the aspects of magnetic field. But in order to know completely the magnetic field of the Earth, you need to know the basic equation of the electromagnetism, the moving electric charges, magnetic field, and what is the generating equation. So to know that, you need to know everything about the Maxwell's four equation. This is the Maxwell's four equation. Elaborately I will be giving uh, hmm, I will be giving the concept and how to derive the equations and how to understand this equation, and practically how can it be useful in the application wise. Let's see. So along with that, I will give just explanation about the curl and divergence of the vector field and two theorems. This is the pictorial representation of our Maxwell's third equation. This one, the moving magnet, the time varying magnetic field, which is and with a coil. So go to the first. Let's just go through the equations. These are the four equations. You can get it from anywhere. These are very famous equation. This is the first equation, that is called as the Gauss law of electricity, Gauss law of electrostatics. The second equation is associated with the Gauss law of magnetism. Third equation is the Faraday's law, and the fourth equation is the Ampere's Maxwell's law. So in this lecture I will talk about only the derivation of three equations: this Gauss law of electrostatics, Gauss law for the magnetism, and the Faraday's law. And in my next topic I will just derive the Ampere's Maxwell's law, that is the fourth law of Maxwell modified by the Ampere. And what are the parameters? So here D, what D means, D is our electric displacement vector. Just it is the proportional with the electric field intensity. So if the electric field intensity is E, so D can be related with E as a proportionality constant epsilon. Similarly, here the H is the magnetic field intensity and is associated with the magnetic flux density with a proportionality constant. They are the permittivity and the permeability of the surrounding medium, and rho is the free charge density. These are the four equations. Elaborately one by one I will just discuss the derivation about the equations and its physical significance. In how everyday life there is a physical significance of the equations. So let's just start the first equation. But before just going through the before going through these equations, Maxwell's equation, there are operators in my, that is del, divergence, and curl you have seen. So we need to know thoroughly about the physical significance of the operators. I mean how it is useful in the Maxwell's equation. So first is the del operator. So if it acts on a, it finds the gradients of a scalar quantity and it will yield a vector quantity. So how can we write it? It can be written as, that's I cap del del x, that is unit vector in the x direction, j cap del del y, unit vector in the y direction, similarly unit vector in the z direction. And if the del operator acts on a vector with a dot sign, that is called the divergence of the vector, and it will produce a scalar quantity. Now this operator, if it's just cross, it means it is the curl of any vector and it will produce a vector quantity. It acts on a vector, produce a vector, it acts on a vector, produce a scalar, and it produces a vector quantity. But you need to know also the physical significance of the operators, how it physically means. So it is the divergence of the vector. Divergence, the name itself applies, the diverges. So why we are telling it a positive divergence? This is a point P. All the field lines are just emanating from that point, and all the field lines are just converging at the point. And here the divergence is 0. Here at a particular point, from all the field lines are emanating, the same number of field lines are just converging. So the resultant sum is 0. So we can term it as a 0 divergence. Positive divergence means the divergence, the measure of outgoingness, the local measure of outgoingness is positive, so it's a positive divergence. And if it's a converging, that is a negative divergence. Its points acts as a sink. Now this is the pictorial representation of the divergence, and we can write it divergence of the rate of change of any vectors in x, y and z direction, del x of vx, del y of vy and del z of vz. So if we act on this divergence of v is the I cap vx, j cap vy and k cap vz. So if you operate del operator with the v vector, it will produce this quantity, it is a scalar. Now talking about the curl. So the name of the curl itself implies from a particular point how the field rotates at a particular point, the amount of rotation of the field lines or the flow lines. It is often associated with the flow lines in physical. So divergence physically gives is a measure of the flux. This is emanating from the point of the vector field. You can see it is emanating from the point of the vector field. It is the local measure of the outgoingness. And if the number of incoming flux and the number of outgoing fluxes are equal, then you can tell the divergence is 0, and you can tell it term is at a solenoidal field. And the curl means that the amount of rotation or the vorticity of the vector field at a point, how the field is rotating and how the field curls at a particular point. So it is a vector quantity. So before moving the Maxwell's equation or deriving these two term laws, Gauss divergence law and Stokes theorem, these are important. So there is a surface, this is a surface S, it's a bounding a volume V, and n cap is a unit normal vector to the surface. And what is the Gauss divergence theorem? The surface integral of the normal component of any vector f, which is a continuous differentiable function, is equal to the divergence of the f that with the volume integral of the divergence of f. So we can relate the surface integral with the volume integral, and this is the Gauss divergence law. If you physically understand the divergence, the physical significance of divergence, these laws are very easy to digest. Many a time it has been seen that students don't often understand the divergence or the curl, and without understanding the divergence or the curl, it is very difficult to understand the Maxwell's all the equations. And there is another famous theorem of Stokes theorem. It relates the line integral with the surface integral. So if it's a curve bounding S, here's the surface is bounding the volume, it's a curve is bounding S. So we can relate the line integral f dot dl is equal to curl of f dot ds. It is the normal component of the curl of the vector S over the surface S. So we will use it while deriving the Maxwell's third equation. Third equation means the Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction. This is a Maxwell's first equation. That means the Gauss law of electrostatics. So we have a surface. Here the closed surface is just like the previous one where the Gauss divergence theorem is bounding a charge q, and this is a unit normal vector to the surface, and this electric field is emanating, and it is a normal, n cap is a unit normal vector. So what does the Gauss law of electrostatics tells? That the normal component of the electric field can be equated with the charge enclosed in the surface. That is the total amount of charge enclosed. Q charge is enclosed singly. So we can write the charge Q as a volume integral of the rho dV. Rho is the free charge, enclosed free charge within the volume. So if we multiply the dV, it will give the total charge. From that we can write this epsilon, took it there, and we can write little bit mathematically. And as I previously described, that d is the electric displacement vector, d is the epsilon 0 E. For free space, epsilon can be termed as epsilon 0. It is the permittivity. So epsilon 0 into E, you can term it as the electric displacement vector d, and with n cap ds with the right hand side charge enclosed. So if we apply the Gauss divergence theorem in it within the surface, so we can write the normal component of the electric displacement vector can be equated with the divergence of the vector in a volume integral. So equating, so you can see the right hand side is a volume integral, and the left hand side is also a volume integral. So equating this from this equation, divergence of d can can be written as the rho. It is the differential form of the Gauss law of electrostatics, which comes from this Gauss initial electrostatics law, and you can see that is the integral form of the Gauss law of that means the Maxwell's first equation, and which is the differential from the electrostatics law. So from this equation initially we can reach to the Maxwell's first equation. Now let's little bit understand about the physical significance of the Maxwell's first equation little bit. So already we have understood it is all about the divergence theorem as this associated in it. So this is the law with the D vector proportional to the electric field. So if we have a positive charge, that means all of the electric fields that is emanating, that positive charge is acting as a source of electric field. That means the source, that means all the electric fields are emanating from that point. So divergence here you can find it a positive. Now if there is a only negative charge in it, so negative charge, it is the sink of the electric field which is attracting the field lines. So here in this equation, this right hand side the factor is not 0. If some rho is there, so there must be a separate positive or negative charge, and if in a surface the positive and negative charge exist simultaneously, the total sum of the charge will be 0. So all the things here comes from the physical significance of the divergence theorem. It is act as a field of diverging, it is act as a field of converging. All the field lines are converging to it. So there must be a separate positive and negative charges which exist in nature, and that can contribute in the right hand side of the field, which is associated in the left hand side with the divergence of any vector quantity. Okay, so it is what physically we can tell. The things are little bit different from the magnetostatics. Magnetostatics means the non-existence of monopole. We will reach to the conclusion how there will be no existence of the magnetic monopoles. How much we cut the just magnet, it will just produce as a 2 poles, not a single pole. So let's first start with the Gauss law of magnetostatics. There be some flux is close through the surface. So just what is flux? Flux is the surface integral of the magnetic field, that is B dot ds. If the flux through the closed surface is 0. So how can we just show it pictorially? This is the S, the number of incoming fluxes. That means that if we find, also you find it physically from the divergence theorem. Divergence of B is also a 0. So number of incoming fluxes is the number of outgoing fluxes. So flux line, so students can easily understand it. What is the number of incoming, number of outgoing is equal, plus and minus. So it will total resultant flux will be 0. That is written as mathematically. And flux means the total magnetic flux intensity means flux divided by the area. So if you just multiply total magnetic field with the area, the total flux you can write B into A, total area. Okay. If we apply Gauss divergence theorem, we can reach to the second law, Maxwell's second equation, that is divergence of B is equal to 0. This is the differential form. Now let's understand, let's just digest this physical significance, the non-existence of monopole. And now if the divergence of any vector field is 0, we can term it as a solenoidal field. So to understand this, let us first take a bar magnet, north pole and south pole. All the field lines are emanating from the north poles and converging to a south pole at that point. Okay, this is a source of magnetic field any. Now if a small surface area we can take, okay, this is surface area ds. So here you can see the number of field lines that are entering in the in this surface area, that is 1, 2, 3 that is entering. So the same number of field lines that are emanating, 1, 2 and 3 diverging. So the total number of fluxes, we can compare it from this picture to that picture, incoming is equal to the total number of fluxes outgoing. What that physically means? It physically meaning that the divergence of field is the 0. 0 means if there were a magnetic monopole, so the right hand side would be a quantity, that is charge of the magnetic monopole, let rho m. But here we can't find any charge of the magnetic monopole, so the total flux is 0. So if you cut a bar magnet in any amount, you will always find a bar magnet with the 2 poles associated. So there in nature there won't be any magnetic monopole. The the north pole and south pole coexist in nature. Okay, so this is the physical significance of the Maxwell's second law. That means the laws that comes from the laws of magnetostatics. This is the physical significance. Hope you understand it very well. Now I will come to the Maxwell's third equation. Just personally feel this is the just like a revolutionary equation that just change the physical concept and everything else. Very important equation. So this is associated with the induced EMF. So if you find a circuit, there is a bar magnet. If there is a motion of the bar magnet involved in a coil. So if there is a motion, there will be time changing magnetic field. So if there is a time changing magnetic field, there will be EMF induced in the circuit. What we can write? The del T of phi B, flux. It is the Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction. What is the minus sign indicates? The total current in the circuit will be induced EMF, means it is just reminiscent of the electromotive force or the voltage. The unit is in voltage. So voltage by total resistance, so current will be negative. So negative, that means that the induced current will oppose the rate of change of flux. That means the reason for which the induced current is generated, it will oppose that reason, and that is the basic laws of nature, that is called the Lenz's law. Okay, and we know the induced EMF. So there will be induced EMF around any closed surface S can be written as voltage, that means electric field dot dl around the closed curve. You can see there is a circuit C, or there is a closed curve in it. So there will be induced, the EMF induced in it due to the motion of the bar magnet towards it, the time change of magnetic field. So now let's just derive the equation. From this equation, one by one, this equation 1, we can find the induced EMF, that means E dot dl is equal to minus del T of that flux. We can write B dot n cap ds. In my previous slide I have shown how the flux is associated with the magnetic field and the total area, the multiplication. From that we can write E dot dl is equal to, we can move that B within the as a partial derivative within the integral. As is a partial derivative, it is not only a function of time, it is a function of position as well. So we can just move the B within the derivative within the integral. Okay, now from you can see this is a line integral and this is a surface integral. So somehow for equating we have to change this line integral to a surface integral, to equating the right hand side and left hand side. So by the Stokes theorem, as I already taught you, that line integral can be changed into a surface integral. So E dot dl can be changed curl of E dot n cap ds, and also there is a surface integral in the side. So this is the integral form, and we can write this is the integral form of the Maxwell's third equation, that is the Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction. Now equating these two sides, this left hand side and right hand side, surface integral, we can write curl of E is equal to minus of del V del T. So obviously the physical significance is very clear here. If we move a bar magnet or move a coil towards a bar magnet or move a bar magnet towards it, there will be a time change of magnetic field, and within the coil there will be induced EMF. Induced EMF will produce the induced current in it, and that will just current, and the electric field lines will rotate. There will be a rotation of around that point, and the curl just accounts for that rotation. The induced EMF produce another magnetic field. So there will be time rate of change of magnetic field will produce a time rate of change of electric field, and that is our Maxwell's third equation. Many circuits operation are based on it. So engineering students also can follow this this third law. For them that is very important. Also Maxwell's fourth equation. So they can also remember that the differential law, curl of E is equal to minus del B del T, and it comes from starting from the induced EMF from the Faraday's law. I hope you have understood this. Now let's move to, at last I'll move to the importance why we are just studying Maxwell's equation. Why? So because they are the generalization of the experimental observations, and they describe how the electric and magnetic fields arise from electric charge and current, just I have told in the Maxwell's third equation, how they propagate, the fields propagate to each other, how they influence with each other. And it is the time of the developed communication, satellite, radio transmission, and the Maxwell, using the Maxwell's equation, these are very indispensable and they are used extensively in this era of communication. Now, not only study the electromagnetic field, last lecture I have just taught you about the geomagnetic field, the internal field, the source of internal field, the dynamo theory, how the magnetic fields within the core are producing. So to understand this theory, we need to know first the Maxwell's equation. So I urge everyone, physicist or geophysicist or undergrad student or engineering students, please go through this Maxwell's equation and try to just find that essence of the significance of it. There obviously these equations can also account for the electromagnetic theory of light. These equations are very much essential for carrying out electromagnetic induction method for mineral surveys. So electromagnetic induction surveys are just extensively used in the mineral survey, and the Maxwell's equations are they are very used extensively, and these surveys are very much important for the airborne reconnaissance survey. So here also we can find that the transmitter receiver, everything theory is associated with the Maxwell's equation. So you need to know obviously. And in medical science, if we can see, if we understand the electromagnetism, we can able to create the images of the body with MRI scanners. So this is also an application in the medical science of the Maxwell's equation. So I hope you understood everyone. And if you have any question or any doubt in understanding the Maxwell's equation and its physical term, please just follow my lectures and my channel Physics and Geophysics Learning with me, and share the channel, share the contents. Please like it and do turn on the bell notification icon to subscribe for further future notification. And don't hesitate to just let me inform about your doubts in a comment section. Thank you everyone.